Hey guys, what's up, it's Scatter. In today's video, we're going to go over some of the most common mistakes that hunters make in PvP. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I do post tips, tricks, guides, and gameplay for multiple classes, so feel free to check those out. If you like what you see, consider becoming a subscriber and turn notifications on so you don't miss out on any new videos. Alright, now the goal of today's video is to help you guys think about your spells and abilities at a deeper level, so you can make the best decisions when you're inside of the arena. If these are things that you're not currently doing, please try them out and I can guarantee you that it will help you gain some rating. Alright, now let's go ahead and hop into the first mistake that some hunters make inside the arena, and that's going to be scatter trapping. And if you don't know what scatter trapping is, it's basically where you scatter shot the target and then freezing trap off of it. This gives you a higher chance of landing the trap than if you were to just throw your trap. Now you might be saying, but Scatter, I've been scatter trapping for years and now you're telling me it's a bad thing to do? Well, if you like scattershot as much as I do, to the point where you name your entire YouTube channel after it, then I've got good news for you. Scattershot is an amazing tool, but instead of using it to land our traps, we're primarily wanting to use it for something called cross CC. Now I do want to put a quick disclaimer here. I'm not saying that you should never scatter trap. Actually, there are some circumstances where you will want to scatter trap instead, and it will be good. I'm just saying that you don't want to be scatter trapping every single time you're looking for CC, and here's why. First, scatter trap is predictable. It's been around for so long, and some players and some classes have ways that they can try to deal with it. As soon as they see scattershot, they know exactly what is coming next. In previous expansions, we only really had to worry about Priest Leap of Faithing the scattershot target away, so we can't land our trap off of it, or precasting a Mass Dispel, and also grounding Totem from Shamans. But the year is 2021 and our warrior friends have transcended to a new level and got new technology. Well, we got a 4-second pet res, what the fuck?
Penny armed Coco with a powerful tool that allowed her to speak as an ambassador on behalf of her endangered species.
Not only do we have to watch out for all the stuff I just mentioned previously, but now you have to watch out for warriors running Overwatch and the Misshapen Mirror legendary. Overwatch will make it to where when they intervene a target, it will cast Spell Reflect on them, and Misshapen Mirror will apply Spell Reflect to their nearest ally. So if you go to Scatter Trap, as soon as the warrior's brain sees the scatter shot and it makes the connection, he's going to try to stop that follow-up CC, or as we call it, breaking the chain. Earlier I mentioned that Scattershot can also be used for something called Cross CC, and Cross CC is basically when you have two targets CC'd at the same time. Cross CC is one of the most important things in 3v3 arena, as you can essentially turn a 3v3 into a 1v3, and landing kills becomes a lot easier when you're dealing with just one target and they're not getting support from their teammates. I'm going to go ahead and play some clips from one of my games here on the screen to show you guys an example. If you want to watch the full game, I'll have a link to the video here on the screen and in the description below. Alright, so starting this game off, I go for a trap on the healer from stealth, and I see the priest casting Mass Dispel, so I scatter shot him. I could kick him as well, but cross CC is stronger since kick just interrupts one school of magic. If I kick his Mass Dispel, he could start spamming mind control since it's on a different school of magic to interrupt our opener. Since the priest wasn't able to peel, we get a lot of pressure. We end up forcing Lockgate, Holy Pally Trinkets, and Life Swap. We realize at this point, since Pally has no trinket, next go will most likely be his bubble and sacrifice, and then the next go after that, they'll have nothing and we'll land a kill. I'm going to go ahead and skip to our next go. Once again, feel free to watch the entire video if you'd like, but here what I want you guys to see is that we land the scatter shot and the storm bolts on the healer at almost the exact same time. This is ideally how you'll want to use your cross CC. If he would have storm bolted and I left a short gap between my scatter shot, the priest could have leap of faith to his healer and I could have potentially missed my trap. Once again, the priest isn't able to peel in the scatter, and we do end up forcing the bubble and the sack from the healer, so we know that next go is a kill. Now I want to show you guys on the next go what can potentially happen if you don't cross CC. I end up landing the trap on the healer, but I'm out of range to scatter the Shadow Priest and my healer almost dies for it. He gets put into a Mind Games and a Void Torrent combo that I could have prevented if I was there to scatter the priest. And moving on to the last go. Once again, the cross CC is basically on the same global and we know that this is the kill. Now the priest knows this as well, and he trinkets and casts Mass Dispel. I had huge damage and I knew I could kill the warlock, so I just chunked my damage, but don't make the same mistakes that I do. I should have kicked the Mass Dispel to 100% secure the kill. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about all the pros of cross CC and what we just learned. First, with cross CC, it's a lot easier to land kills since the enemy team can't help peel for their teammates as much. This means that a lot of times you'll get an uninterrupted burst rotation or combo off. As a marksmanship hunter, it's very important we get the full channel of our rapid fire and double tap combo off. Second, since the enemy team can't peel while they're CC'd, it gives us a higher chance of getting valuable defensives out of the enemy team. On the first go, we were able to force Trinket and Life Swap. And lastly, since Cross CC can force other targets to use trinkets or defensives, it opens up possibilities for swaps. You don't have to train one target the entire game. For instance, if the Pally has no trinket and bubble, he can be a kill target as well. So now that you know how important cross CC is and its pros, let's go ahead and move on to the next biggest mistake that I see hunters making, and that's going to be not using your explosive trap and bursting shot to its fullest potential. Actually, a lot of hunters that I see don't even use these abilities, and it's huge. Using these abilities to their fullest potential is a way for you to differentiate yourself from other hunters and really take your game up to the next level. This is something that can greatly increase your survivability or be used offensively to make plays and win you games. Here's an example of using explosive trap and bursting shot defensively. This is a game against Ret Warrior, a team that has insane burst, and if they train you, you'll be taking overwhelming damage. So I start off with a binding shot on the DPS. Once they get out, I know that they want to do a lot of damage, so I explosive shot and knock the Ret away. When he reconnects, he pops Wings and Divine Toll, so I bursting shot him away, and then I pop Aspect of the Cheetah and kite him. He knows he can't reconnect, so he ends up just switching targets. With just explosive trap and bursting shot, I was able to hold on to all of my defensive cooldowns, so now I'll have access to them later if I need them. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example of using these abilities offensively to make plays. So here we're on Blade's Edge, and this is one of the best maps for us to make plays. I start by using bursting shot to knock the healer off the bridge out of line of sight of the DPS. I want you guys to think about how you can extend your current CC chains or create a CC chain using your knockbacks. You don't have to land a trap to create CC. If they're out of line of sight, they're not doing any healing. So when they're out of line of sight, you can think of it as if they're CC'd. Let's watch how long it takes for the healer to get back into line of sight before he starts healing again. Also, as he's walking back, Blade's Edge is amazing for this reason. I'm able to knock the DPS off the bridge with explosive trap to extend the CC chain and keep them out of line of sight of their healer for even longer. As he walks back up, I'm spamming scattershot because I'm not paying attention and I think I have it up. Luckily, my Holy Pally is smarter than me and he blinds the healer. I know that we have enough damage to kill in a scattershot, so that's what I do, and we end up scoring the kill. You can also use these knockbacks as an interrupt on either the knockback targets, or if you knock the DPS out of line, it will cancel the heal. Let's look at a quick example. In this clip, I see that the Warlock is standing near the edge and we've got him around 40% health. I see the healer is casting a heal, so I knock the Warlock out of line of sight and it interrupts the heal. This creates a short window of CC where the healer has to walk into line of sight of the Warlock, and those few short seconds cause them to fall behind. I notice the healer isn't juking, so I kick him and we land the kill. Alright, so now that you've seen a few examples of how to use your knockbacks, let's move on to the last thing I want to talk about today, and that's going to be abusing Kraven Stratagem. This legendary has so many uses, and I personally use it in every one of my games. Yes, you can cheese some games with the rapid fire legendary, but you can also lose games for not having Kraven, so I think Kraven is just good in every scenario. This is one of the best legendaries in the game, and abusing it can help you survive scenarios that you wouldn't normally survive. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into Kraven Stratagem and some of its uses. Now how this legendary works is that it will reduce the cooldown of your feigned death by 15 seconds and remove most negative effects from yourself. These include things like bleeds, poisons, curses, diseases, and magic effects, so that will also include things like magic roots and magic dots. So how can we use Kraven Stratagem optimally, and what are some of the things that we're looking out for when using this legendary? First, let's go ahead and talk about some of the biggest abilities that you can dispel with Kraven Stratagem. If you feign death with this legendary on, you can dispel Unstable Affliction from Affliction Warlocks and Vampiric Touch from Shadow Priest, and you will not take the dispel damage or the silence from the Unstable Affliction, and you will not take the fear from dispelling your own Vampiric Touch. One of the biggest things that you are able to dispel right now in this current meta is going to be the Priest ability Mind Games. This ability makes any healing you do damage, and any damage you do healing, and it also hits extremely hard. Being able to dispel yourself out of this is very strong as it saves your healer a dispel, and remember that Kraven Stratagem also removes all of the other magic dots and effects off of yourself as well. If you're fighting against a popular comp right now called Shadowplay, which consists of Affliction Warlock and Shadow Priest, where they look to rot your team down over time and have very dangerous kill setups with mind games, Kraven Stratagem makes you a very difficult target for them to kill. If you're on the pillar and using Feign Death every 15 seconds, it's going to be very hard for them to get pressure, as they can only really dot 2 out of 3 of the targets that they're fighting against. And if your healer doesn't have to dispel you, he can use his dispel on someone else. If he's dispelling off cooldown, then they're only realistically having dots up on 1 out of 3 of their targets now. If they do decide to go you and they mind games you, you can feign death and it will remove their dots and the mind games, making it very hard for them to finish you off as they'd have to reapply all of their dots. To put it very simply, Kraven Stratagem absolutely destroys rot comps. The first overpowered ability we could Kraven Stratagem off was a Priest Mind Games. Next we have the Warrior ability Spear Bastion. This ability is on a 1 minute cooldown and will do decent damage on impact, and it'll also create a zone that you can't move out of for 4 seconds. If you try to leave it, it will pull you back in. A lot of warriors will use this during their big cooldowns to almost guarantee some sort of big defensives from the enemy team. This is even scarier when they're playing a cleave, as it gives both of them a lot of uptime. If you feign death with a Kraven Stratagem legendary, it will remove the Spear Bastion tether effects, so you will no longer be pulled back into the spear and you can kite freely. Before I continue any further, I want to stress the importance of not only abusing Kraven Stratagem, but also making sure you're not just using feign death for no reason. Being caught in a Mind Games or Spear Bastion with no feign death could cost you the game, so you want to make sure that you're using feign death at the right times to increase your survivability. Now that we've gone over what I would consider to be some of the biggest abilities you can dispel with Kraven Stratagem, let's quickly go over some of the other things that you're able to dispel. If a Fire Mage is popping Combustion on you, you're able to dispel the big Ignite dot that they will have on you. You can dispel yourself out of the Balanced Druid Disarm. This ability is called Fairy Swarm. It lasts for 5 seconds, it's on a 30-second cooldown, and this is a very annoying ability to deal with as a hunter, especially if they use it on you when you pop your double tap. I mentioned earlier that you can also dispel bleeds, so if you're fighting against a Feral Druid or an Assassination Rogue, this can help you out greatly and cause you to survive a lot longer. A lot of Assassination Rogues run the talent Internal Bleeding, which gives their kidney shot a bleed effect that does a lot of damage. You'll be wanting to use Feign Death to remove your bleeds if you see that your healer is about to get CC'd. While your healer is CC'd and unable to heal you, you'll be wanting to reduce the amount of damage that you're taking during that time frame by as much as possible. You can hold your Kraven Stratagem and Feign Death after the kidney ends to remove the internal bleeding from the rogue, but be careful when holding your Kraven Stratagem. A lot of times if you get kidneyed and your healer gets CC'd, they're looking to kill you in that time frame. It's also very strong to remove an Assassination Rogue's bleeds during their vendetta. That will cause them to have to ramp up their damage and reapply all of their bleeds. And lastly, you can dispel poisons as well with Kraven Stratagem. Wound Poison from Rogues actually got a rework in Shadowlands. Instead of instantly applying the healing debuff, it has to stack up 3 times before they get the maximum healing reduction effect from it. As an added bonus to all the amazing things Kraven Stratagem does, removing this in addition to the bleeds I had mentioned earlier will give your healers an easier time to pick you up, as the rogue will have to spend a little bit of time ramping up his healing reduction. Being able to pull off a quick heal without it being affected by Wound Poison can top you off quickly and save your healers some mana. Alright, and that's going to wrap it up for the most common mistakes that hunters make in the arena. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. I know that hunters right now are not in the best spot and it can feel a little demoralizing to play, so I hope that this video gave you some tips and that you can gain some rating from it. Also here in the community tab, I'm going to have a poll up where I ask you guys, are you having fun PvPing on your hunter? There's going to be a few options here. If you wouldn't mind going over to the poll and picking one of those options, leaving a like and just telling me a little bit about why you chose that option, it would be much appreciated. I look forward to reading your responses and seeing how you guys feel about the current state of hunters. If you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a Patreon. For $5 and $10 donations, you will get a special credit at the end of my videos. I love making content for you guys and I'd love to do it for you full time, so any donations are much appreciated to help me reach that goal. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them below or follow me on Twitter at ScatterWow, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as possible. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.